My name is Megan Dovik. I am the director of our Professional Science Master's program. Um, and within our program, we do have four different degree program tracks, and we'll get into that in a minute. But before we do, I'm going to hand it over to my team to introduce themselves. Let's go Allie, then Michelle, and then Michelle, you can take it right into the next slide.
Yes, hello, my name is Alexandra Rivas. I'm the Associate Director of the program, and I'm also an instructor of the program for the business side.
And I'm Michelle Moy. I am the program coordinator. And I am the one who usually handles incoming emails from prospective students. So some of you have heard from me already or met with me. So, see, you can see the slides here. An overview of what is a professional science master's. It combines advanced STEM coursework with essential business and transferable skills, creating tomorrow's workforce in science, technology, and innovation. When we say transferable skills, we might be talking about communication, policy, operations management. These are the skills that people are going to need to succeed in management positions outside of academia. If you are somebody who's hoping that this will be a good stepping stone to a PhD, we have had students go on to PhDs. That's not our main thing, and it's a non-research program. So if you want a PhD, I'm happy to send you email addresses of other programs because this is probably not ideal for you. So why do a professional science master's? It's very interdisciplinary. We've had students refer to it as their STEM BA. You're getting just enough of that business side to understand how maybe the financials work at your company, to talk to people in the C-suite, but you're still taking all that graduate level science as well. You can go full or part-time, unlike most more traditional graduate degrees. If you were going to compare it to an MBA, it's a very good value price-wise. We offer stackable credentials for some of our students. So we have a student right now who's in our environmental science program who is also getting a graduate certificate in public policy. Concurrently, the classes overlap. She's able to double count those. So she's not taking extra credits, but she is coming out with a graduate certificate in public policy along with that Master's of Science in environmental science. Other graduate certificates we'll talk about at the end, but there are options there. It's very career focused. And we love to make sure that students are getting what they need out of the program. There's a lot of academic ownership. If you see a class, a graduate level class, and you can make an argument that it's exactly what you need to meet your career goals, we can often help you work that into your coursework. And as I mentioned before, there's no research. So this is a non-thesis program. Instead of a thesis, you do a professional experience project, a capstone project with an outside employer, which Allie will talk about more later on. So this is an alternative pathway to getting a master's. You can see Megan here with one of our recent grads. You can complete in 2 years if you go full-time, 4 years for part-time students. As I mentioned, a lot of academic ownership over the way you get through the program, the way you design your coursework. We make sure that there's a lot of professional development. A lot of our first year students all take professional development. They explore their career options. They're making sure that they're tailoring this program to their goals. And then we have some industry partnerships. This isn't a career placement program. We're not guaranteeing everybody you're going to get your dream job with your dream employer, but we are working hard to build relationships with a lot of local employers who can help you do your capstone project. We're really trying to make sure there are some networking opportunities because grad school is only a tiny part of your life, and then you got to get out there. Our program has 4 degrees. We've got environmental science, computational and data science, earth resource management, and biotechnology. Each of these is going to have advanced coursework in those programs, but it's, like I said, really interdisciplinary. If you're in the data science program, you might be taking not just computer science classes, but maybe something from electrical engineering or from the statistics department or from the business school. Environmental science is going to be all over. You can taking atmospheric classes or GIS classes through the geography department, biology classes. Like I said, a lot of really great options there as far as building what you need the most A lot of this we've kind of talked about already, developing those business skills along with the science and aligning this with your goals. One thing that I love about the program is that there is a cohort philosophy. So your first year in our program, all students take professional development together, whether they're a data science student or an environmental science student. Everybody's in that class bouncing ideas off each other. And then the first spring of your program, everybody takes operation management together. So you're moving through, you've got one class with these same students for the first 3 semesters. Generally, occasionally there are going to be classes that won't work with your schedule. We'll have to sub something out. But this is a really great way to build a community with people from a lot of backgrounds. And it's kind of surprising to see the overlap we get. Sometimes there are data science students who want to do data science with an environmental organization. Or we've got biotech people who are really interested in wastewater management. And so our hydrology students in the environmental science program are kind of working in concert with them, looking at microbial life in wastewater. So we love to see the overlap. We feel like the interdisciplinary aspects are a huge strength of the program. It can help you expand your networks, find mentors. A lot of students are coming back to school after some years in the workforce, and we get people kind of connecting each other with their professional contacts in a way that's really great. And just creating avenues of support. Graduate school can be a really stressful time. When I was in grad school, I didn't mention when I introduced myself, I'm a graduate of this program in the environmental science track. It was a really stressful time of life for me. I was a mom, I was remodeling a house. I ended up going through a divorce while I was in school. It was a stressful time. And I made some good friends in the program, people who I'm still in touch with, almost a decade later. And we should never neglect that part of our journey either. So where do our alumni end up? Here are a couple of examples. I'm looking just at these different logos. Right now, the head of sustainability for Salt Lake City is a graduate of our program. Also, the mayor of Salt Lake City is a graduate of our program. Erin Mendenhall was part of my environmental science cohort. We got a lot of people at ARUP and bioMérieux if you're in biotech. Yeah, all over the place. Coca-Cola, we've got someone in the sustainability department there. Booz Allen, Northrop Grumman, some of our AI kids end up working for those kinds of like Hill Air Force Base and maybe in the defense industry. A lot of options. Any questions at this point? Throwing a lot at you? All right. I am also the person who, because I'm talking to a lot of prospective students, I handle a lot of the application questions. So February 1st is priority deadline. You can get it in before then. It's not like a research program where you need to have your application in by November. We take applications. February is kind of the traditional, or April 1st is the traditional deadline, but we accept late applications. The U of U just did away with their late application fee until the program fills up. Some years it does, some years it doesn't. But to be accepted to the program, you should have a strong background in science, preferably a STEM bachelor's background, though occasionally we have people with finance who've got a lot of math and can handle some of those classes, things like that. Minimum 3.0 GPA, we get one exception per degree for that each year. So if you are really close to that 3.0 GPA, you can make a good argument, especially if you've been in contact with me and there's a tiny bit of flexibility there, but usually a 3.0 is going to be the minimum. 3 letters of recommendation. We love to see a mix of professional and academic sources. The students who get the most out of this program are people with some good work experience. People right out of undergrad sometimes don't see as much value in some of the management or operations and project management type classes where people who've got 3 years of work experience just are so happy to get that background and finding really relevant information to their professional lives. The third requirement is a relevant personal statement. We want to know why this program and why you, and what your goals are. Every now and then we get personal statements that are extremely generic, talking kind of vaguely about working with our esteemed faculty and doing research. It's clear that maybe that person doesn't know what this program is. We're going to be a little worried about bringing someone in. Graduate school is a huge investment. We want to make sure that you are in a program that's good for you. If you send in a letter that says, I can't wait to use this as a stepping stone to a PhD, I can't wait to do research with your faculty, this isn't the program for you. But do tell us what your goals are. Tell us what aspects of this program interest you, and that's going to go a long way with that personal statement. In the personal statement, you might also talk about, if you are someone with a GPA that's on that line and you had one really rough semester, we're happy to hear the personal story. Everybody goes through things. But yeah, let us know something interesting about you, but mainly why this program aligns with your goals. Test scores like the GRE are optional. But if you are an international student, there are going to be additional admissions requirements, which I can drop a link to our international office, admissions office in the chat in just a moment. I'm going to pass this off now. Oh, no, I am going to keep talking about tuition. There's a tuition fee estimator. It is not perfectly accurate, but I will also drop that in the chat momentarily. It looks like this. You can actually kind of fill out what classes you think you'll be taking. Tuition can change a little bit depending on the classes you take. If you take a class from a business school, you're going to pay a little more tuition. People in our earth resource management class often take like natural resource law from the law school. That's going to be a more expensive class. So it can vary a little bit. If you are not in Utah and you're worried about out-of-state tuition, we will say that if you're from any of these Western states in the US, the Western Regional Graduate Program means that we every year can give 5 non-Utah resident students from the Western US and Hawaii and Guam, we can give them a reduced rate in tuition. So that may help. Going to pass it off to Allie, and I will drop those links I mentioned in the chat.
Thank you, Michelle. And Megan already dropped a lot of links in the chat.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you about how did you learn first from our program? Let me pull up the poll.
Michelle, can you go back to the presentation slide? We're seeing your international page.
Okay, let me see if you're looking at the poll and if you can access it and answer it.
We're always interested in how prospective students are hearing about the program. So again, you don't have to answer this poll, but we really appreciate it just so we can be better informed in how we can better reach, prospective students like yourselves. Looks like we got a couple from the website. We have a couple from a faculty member. Awesome. Career fair or grad fair. An email. Great.
Great, thank
Just
you.
Google search. Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. Career fairs. Awesome.
Good. I'm going to share the results. There you go. We have from the university website, we have from email, not much from social media, referral, career fair, online search. Very good. Thank you very much for sharing with me. Okay. Okay, we're going to talk about the program requirements. So for this program, you need to have, the nice thing about this program is that you can tailor your education to where you feel you need it the most or in your interest. We, as the program, give you transferable business skills, that these are skills that are going to be helpful for you to be able to be a leader and be able to be a manager wherever you go. And these are between 12 and 14 credits that you need to study. These are classes that we teach as as a team, and we have instructors from our program teaching. And we have the STEM focus track that is depending on each track that you are choosing, you're going to hone in those classes. And these classes are depending on which track are you in. If you are in computational data science, you take from those classes. If you are biotechnology, you take from those classes. And you can really customize what you have, what you want to learn. We have a list of courses that you need to choose from, but you can choose, it's a very open list that you can choose on. And we have the professional experience project. At the end of your program, you have the chance to work on a real life experience project that you're going to solve a problem for a business, or it can be also in the place you're working, but not part of your regular work. And this give you the chance to put all the skills that you learn in the program into practice and do a professional presentation based on that. And you can add that to your resume and be sure that you can improve and you can leverage that for your professional experience. For a program, you need to have 36 credits minimum. You can have more, and you need to have more than 3.0 in your GPA. Can we move to the next slide? Thank you. Oh, well, this slide was talking about the professional experience project, and that over there you work it between 3 and 4 credits, And this professional experience, the nice thing about the project is that you really get practice as being the project manager of your project. You plan your project, you are the owner of what you're doing, you propose the solution, and you present professionally your solution. So this is a really a very great professional experience to have. Next slide, please. Talking a little bit more about the professional experience, we have the 6974 planning course. And this is where I was telling you that you can really be your project manager of your course, planning everything. And to take this class, you have to have completed 6 credits in the transferable skill areas and 6 credits in the STEM focus area. Then we have the 6975 project course that is generally your last semester, where you are working on the project, you are really implementing the solution that you visualize that it's going to have, and then you create a report and present this professional report. You give all the deliverables to the business where you were working, and do the professional reporting. This project requires between 150 and 200 hours, is with the non-academic sponsor, industry employer, nonprofit, and many partners where you can gain experience where you want it. And you have to have STEM objectives and business objectives to complete, to achieve, and present your outcome, your final report. Okay, your first year courses for the fall semester. Now we're starting with the professional development class. This class is very loved by all the students because it targets where you need it the most, and it has choose your own experience, where you can choose where you need the most to hone in this professional development that you need. If it is developing your resume, if it is learning how to train for interviews, if it is learning where do you really want to work. So it helps the students to really focus where they need the most and where they want to go, how to build their own path in this program. This is generally Tuesdays from 6 to 9 in the Garden Commons building. Then in the same semester, we have the MST 6600. This is an applied statistic techniques, and this is taught on Saturdays. This is taught by the previous program director. This is a very good class. You learn R over here. If you already have knowledge in coding and this, you can skip this Saturday class and take another that is more deep. But many students are using this class to be able to manage the data that they are producing in their other classes. And if you are a full-time student, you take a STEM class between 2 and 4 credits within the same semester. Can we move to the next slide, please?
Allie, you're stealing I'm supposed to be presenting this part.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You
I
were
was
doing
still
so good. You were so on the roll, on the roll. So,
okay. Go ahead, go
okay,
ahead. I was still switched in the
I know
because I was muted
you're
and
on it there. So everything, yes, that is
Can I
absolutely, yeah.
can I pop in and just say one thing I didn't realize before I started graduate school was that grad school full time is only 9 credits a semester.
Mhm.
So if you're like, oh, that they only went over, 9 credits there, that's because that's full time when you're in grad school.
Yeah. Um, yes. So continuing on, so your freshman year, you're taking that professional development, building community, building some of these essential industry demanded transferable skills, the communication, technical, non-technical writing, um, and doing job exploration and understanding your own career path. Allie mentioned the applied statistics, which in which you will also learn R code and apply it to statistical data sets as a final outcome of that course. And then if you are full-time, that's when you take that other STEM, working towards those STEM requirements of your specific program. Your spring semester you will take MST 6210, and this is operations and project management. This is taught by someone who's been a part of our program for, I think, 8 or 9 years now. He is the president of an operations facility, manufacturing distribution facility here in Salt Lake Valley. And he's wonderful. People love this class. We do a practical application. We bring in a company, they pitch a problem, and then through the semester, you essentially project manager, project operation, the industry problem, and then you present it back to industry. So there's a lot of again practical application. That's very big in our philosophy in this program is not just theory, but practical and experiential. If you are part-time, you may choose to take a STEM course here. And if you are full-time, you may take up to 2 STEM courses in addition to that MST course, or work on a transferable course as well. All right, let's go next. Now, first year summer courses. So it is set up that you can finish this program in 2 years and take off the summer. However, you're going to be doing maybe an extra course here or there um, above the 9 credits if you take that route. What we recommend is that you take 1 or 2 summer courses as well, and these are condensed. Just so you know, it's not a 16-week course. They're usually 12. Um, they we offer these, so we highly recommend you take our business development taught by Alejandra here, and if you are an environmental science student, or I've had a lot of data science too. I teach a environmental field methods and analysis course where we work in wetlands with the Nature Conservancy and Utah Geologic Survey. They are our clients, and we provide environmental monitoring reports and analysis and other needs for them as part of the outcomes for that class. All right. Second year, you'll be again seeing all your friends still in the fall with scientific reasoning and inquiry. This will lead you through the process. This is taught by a PhD philosopher, or he has a philosophy PhD. He's been with our program for several years. You go through this kind of a lot of what I would say, our black and white thinkers have a hard time in this class because he really forces you to think in the gray. What is science? How does it apply to society? He gets you through this big, broad idea. Then he kind of brings you back in with practical application. We do some policy analysis. How do you apply that to real world problems as well? You'll also take another STEM course. You might be ready to take the project planning course where it's like, all right, I got 1 semester left. I need to find a project, form a committee, write a proposal, defend that proposal before you actually start your project. So that's what a lot of our students do their second year fall semester, if they're full-time. And then second year spring semester, this is where if you're full-time, you'll likely be doing your project. And this is a big lift. So it's a 3 credit class. We tell our students to allocate 12 to 15 hours a week 2-year project. That's the equivalent of what is expected in graduate school per 3-credit class, that you're going to be spending 3 hours in class, an additional 9 hours on homework outside of class. That's the university policy and expectation. If you still have to fill in some STEM requirements, this is where you will finish out your requirements for the program here. Go ahead. Just a caveat on that back when I was wondering if there was a slide in here or not. If you don't do full-time, or even if you decide to switch, just know that that semester timeline might be extended a semester or two for you. Value adds. We say maximize your time here. A lot of our programs are aligned very nicely with graduate certificates. Michelle will drop in a link about all the graduate certificates. She mentioned the public policy one. We have one in hydrology. We have a deep learning and AI robotics certificate that we work very closely with. I highly recommend it. We have a data science graduate degree, and there are several. And if some of the best ones that we found out about are actually from you guys. You're like, hey, I really am interested in this graduate certificate. Would it work with my program here? And we do our best to try to align as much overlap as possible. If you want to make the most of this year and maybe you get accepted this fall and you say, hey, I kind of want to start, you can also, let's see, non-credit professional development. Okay. Oh, you can start as a non-matriculated student if and we can kind of apply up to 6 credits as non-matriculated U of U courses to the program if they're approved courses. And that's something you want to double check and communicate, especially with Michelle. She'll definitely know how to do that.
Non-matriculated, for people who aren't familiar with that university jargon, just means you're taking classes on your own, not as part of a degree seeking program. If you take a graduate level course that way, we can often count it towards your coursework, but send me an email about it if you're interested.
Great. Thank you. I sometimes forget. I actually didn't know what non-matriculated was until I started working here at the U. So absolutely make sure you know we're all on the same page there. Sometimes we don't have traditional funding. So often people will say, hey, is there a TA position? Is there a GA or an RA position, which is typically associated with Masters of Science research positions or research programs? This program does not. We don't have a research lab. We don't have, that's not what the point of this program is. With that being said, there are some unique opportunities that are starting to develop, including some opportunities for funding for sustainability students. Right now, this semester, or sorry, coming into spring, we're going to fund 4 students fully to work on projects, their professional experience project. And that's through an NSF grant that I'm collaborating on, or I'm part of. So there are some unique opportunities. We just, as they come online, we let you guys know. And practical and experiential learning, like I said before, this is deep in our philosophy. We try to make this a key point, especially in our courses, and we try our darndest to vet all of the courses on our list to ensure that there is some element of practical or experiential learning. Okay, next one.
Right.
Oh, yeah, you're doing this one.
I can do this one.
I'm dead.
So from the potential student standpoint, what should I be doing now to prepare? Maybe sometimes we get people who did like environmental studies and they don't have a ton of science classes, but they really want to get into the environmental science side and work in environmental consulting or something. So you might need to take some prerequisite courses. Maybe you want to take just a getting up to speed class. You've been out of school for a while. I did that before I got into school. A lot of people interested in the data science program are pivoting from another field. These are not easy classes. These are graduate level computer science classes. You can't come into them with like just a coding boot camp. But if you're really motivated, we do have students who take prerequisite classes to get ready for these graduate level computer science classes. I can send you a list of the types of classes they take. But I will say, if you're interested in that computational and data science track, we expect that you have taken calculus 1, 2, and 3 and linear algebra. So if you're hoping to kind of just get into data science without a really strong like math and coding background, it's going to be tricky. Email me and I will point you in the direction of more data analyst type programs that are not quite as like deep into the coding side. Um, you might take a boot camp anyway, though. Everybody in the program is going to have to do some data analysis, some statistics. Everybody takes that R class their first semester, unless it is way too easy for them because you've been using R and doing data analysis for a long time. So there are like boot camps that the U can, some of them are offered at the U, some of them you might just take online through Coursera or something. Maybe you're going to be taking some advanced GIS classes and you haven't worked with GIS before and you want to just get up to speed with that. There are always online boot camps that you can do with stuff like that. Another good thing you can do to prepare is start looking at employer support. If you work in biotech in Salt Lake City and you've been working there full time, there's a decent chance your employer is going to pay half your tuition if you're at bioMérieux or ARUP or one of the University of Utah medical facilities like Myriad Genetics. A lot of them have tuition benefit programs. So talk to your employer and see if you might have any of those options open to you, and talk to your employer and make sure you can take some time off for a class if that's what you're going to need to do. Our classes that we offer through our program, through the professional science masters, are often in the evening or weekend, as you saw. But the majority of your classes, your STEM classes, are going to be just regular courses during the day on a weekday. So you're going to need to make sure you can get flexibility there if you're working full time. Some job exploration is great. If you, like I said, in your personal statement, we love to see some direction. If you are applying to graduate school because you don't totally have it figured out, that's a common thing. And I am absolutely sympathetic to that, but definitely try to think about what you're really needing. Look at job postings of jobs that you would like and do some real job exploration before you get in here. Another thing you can do is connect with us. We've got LinkedIn, we've got Instagram. I have emailed you all a link to this. Feel free to email me, set up a meeting if you're interested. Always happy to help. And then start working on that application. You're going to need 3 letters of support. Sometimes it takes a minute to get those. Sometimes you're going to have to ping that writer more than once. Never too early to get started on that. Like I said, priority deadlines, April 1st. February 1st for the priority. April 1st is the regular. We've got the late deadline. We can't take any applications after July 1st. If the program fills up before then that deadline will be even sooner. And then classes will start next year on August 18th.
Okay, now we can open it up to questions or comments. You can either put them in the chat or you can just come off mute and shout them out. Well, this is your time. We're here to answer questions, and I'm sure the questions you have would benefit everyone here. So ask away. Right now we have later when applying for PhD programs, is the PSM considered equivalent to a master's degree in biotechnology? Yes, it is a stepping stone into a PhD. It does not, the one thing that it doesn't have is the traditional research. However, if this is going to be your track to that degree and you know that early on, this is where we can set you up with, we have subject matter experts such as Jennifer Shoemaker-Perry, specifically is for our biotechnology track. She can help advise what might be the best path starting at a master's going into a PhD. So like we said, this is considered a terminal degree and we really focus it around career development and industry. However, we do have students all the time that are using this as a stepping stone to PhD. Other questions? Michelle, well, if you reach out to Michelle, she can give you a better list about what data science prereqs would be likely needed, especially if you're pivoting.
Yeah, I'll send a specific list, Courtney, on what exactly kind of the prerequisites are.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
I did have a question. So, is the main way this differs from like a traditional master's program, is that in place of the research component, we're doing the professional development skills?
Yes, and there's more to it. What differs between this and a traditional master's is one, we provide a lot of flexibility with part-time, full-time. Usually, if you are going into a traditional master's program, you are adhering to the traditional day campus options or full-time, especially if you're funded. And so that's one difference is that there's a lot of flexibility in that. Two is yes. So in a traditional master's of science, you're going to be doing some sort of original research, and then you're going to be implementing that. And then usually you're going to be writing it for a manuscript of publication. Our professional experience, and I just want to clarify, it's non-thesis, but it doesn't mean non-research. A lot of our students are doing research for different companies. So let me give you a couple examples. Um, right now, I just set up someone who's going to be working with our Utah Geologic Survey. He's an environmental scientist. He has background in like physics and Python and hydrology, and he's working with a PhD, in not faculty, but a senior scientist at UGS, and they're going to be doing um, GIS data analysis between two different platforms of coded platforms, and they are going to um, but oh, what am I saying here? I just was in this meeting yesterday, so I'm trying to get my head wrapped around it as well. They're looking at evapotranspiration data sets using a satellite imagery database. So that, of course, has research elements to it as a traditional master's. The application is going to be directly for state agencies' initiatives around water management. Likely, some of that will be incorporated into a future publication, but that's not our requirement. Our requirement is that the professional experience gets you exactly that professional experience that you can put on your resume. It gives you skills, and then it ideally will lead you into a career path.
Okay, so um essentially when it comes like so I'm wanting to pivot into data science from a different
Mhm.
field. This is going to be the same level of rigor in terms of classwork and stuff as like a traditional one. It's just that the thesis kind of thing isn't involved, and instead you're going to be focusing on professional development
You focus on professional development as
and
part of
skills.
about 25% of your curriculum. So in it also in a traditional master's, you take about 18 to 20, data science courses. The rest of your credits are called thesis credits. So some
Okay.
master's programs take up to 10 thesis credits, and it's just, I'm working on my thesis. So instead of having those thesis credits, we fill those with transferable skill courses, and then we
Gotcha.
make a ideally single semester project that applies those skills to that project.
Okay. Thank
That's
you.
the only difference. Okay.
That makes sense.
Other questions? Do we have any in the chat? Let's see. Nope, not right now. Okay. Um, let's see. And okay, let's see. It says in the PSM biotechnology program, will we have the opportunity to work in labs and gain experience under experts while learning biotechnology courses? Michelle, would you like to field some of this?
So there will be some lab courses, but it's not going to be working with a PI on a research question in the same way. It's going to be more like the kinds of my understanding, I have not taken graduate level biotech classes, is that it's going to be, lab techniques, but it's not going to be, a big research question. That would be through a more traditional academically focused uh, Masters of Science.
Right. Sometimes we get students really excited and then they email Michelle and they're like, so what lab am I working in? What do I need to get prepared for? And that's not this program. You're not going to be assigned a PI where you're going to be working in their lab from day one. With that being said, we have had a handful of students as part of their professional experience work in a lab-like setting. So if you're in biotechnology, we have a biotechnology internship program with bioMérieux, which is one of our large biotech industries here in the Valley, where we have students go and work at bioMérieux for a semester, traditionally in a lab setting, and they do a project around for bioMérieux. So you are getting lab experience and you're actually getting professional experience in that industry. We also have a current student who's a data scientist, and she's working in an atmospheric research lab here on campus for a project that they're sending out to NOAA, the National Atmospheric Weather Agency, around flash flooding. So she's applying her data science skills to an environmental science problem here at the university, but for an outside agency, if that makes sense. So
And
again,
we have had students who have worked with professors who have TA'd in classes, but that is not a normal path in this program. And that has been something that they've set up generally through relationships they've built on their own.
And we have more students working kind of in the professional path where they can come to the laboratory, but they are solving a problem in the laboratory in biotech. So they're not necessarily working in the lab, like pipetting, but observing and solving problems about biotechnology, not the nitty gritty, but kind of a higher level.
and if you have the skill set, you are allowed to do, you can do the nitty gritty. You can perform original experiments to validate. We do a lot of instrumentation validation, which includes running experimental design sets and then analyzing whether or not it meets standards. Oh, there was something else I forgot about. Other things, the professional experience, yeah, people always have a lot of questions about that opportunity. We really set the tone from day one to start thinking about it. And one, this is the most, we always get the most questions about the professional experience project. What we don't want you to do is wait till your last semester to start thinking about it. You need to do it now. How people get a professional experience projects. They tap into their own network. They can do it for their employer. If you are currently working in a lab or for a nonprofit or already are employed, you definitely can do a project for your company. We just say as long as it's something that you wouldn't normally get paid to do, right? Like, so it's outside of your job duties. For instance, at another biotech company, ARUP, we had a lab bench molecular biologist who then did a project management professional experience project within so it was a different group within the company, and he got to apply new skills to it. So that would be an example of that. We also tap into our own network. We're constantly developing new pipelines. So and we definitely tell you about all the different ways you can also expand your network starting on day one. So that's how people get their professional experience projects set up. I see a hand up. Go for it.
Is there can you name any like examples of like what a project would look like or like any I don't know, there's
Yeah.
like a lot of just throwing around project and I'm curious like what that looks like in as much detail as I can maybe understand from
Yeah.
Do you want me to
outside
pull
level.
up the PowerPoint, Megan?
Yeah.
We
And then
have
there's
those slides at the end about.
yeah, that's great. That'd be great.
And there's a question from Ray, I think.
Well, I see one down here and says, just to clarify, this is not the best fit for students pursuing a PhD. Absolutely not. We are not a PhD program. if you are really looking for funding or going into academia, this is not that program. Do we have students that still try to do that path? Yes. Is this the best path for that? I would probably say no. What does the approval process look like for a professional great question. So as you start to, and we help you with this in the class 6974, which is the project planning, the process looks something like we make contacts, we talk with the client or the non-academic sponsor, we see if there's a need. We developed a rough draft, which is the pre-proposal. It's a one-page, here are my main objectives. If we approve it, which is internal through us, does it meet our program requirements? Do we think it's a graduate level rigor? Then we allow you then to go into the full proposal. You'll also form a committee, and a committee is going to be your subject matter experts. It is comprised of faculty members, it can be industry members, and often it's one of your program people here. And then once you do your proposal, you'll present your proposal, in which it gives time for the committee, your subject matter experts, to give you feedback before you really start. And then you'll go into your project. And then at the end of the project, there'll be some check-ins along the way. At the end of the project, you present again, almost like a defense. You defend, if you're thinking traditional academia, you'll present your final proposal to your committee. They'll give feedback. If there's stuff they want you to see changed in your final report, they'll tell you that. And then we kind of wrap it up from there. If there are okay, sorry, did I miss one? Go ahead and go to the next slide, Michelle.
She asked, can you talk more about students' experience who don't have much work experience in the industry already? For example, I'm a year out of undergrad, but haven't gotten my foot in the door with any industry relevant to my undergrad, data science. I'm looking for a master's programs to make me more competitive candidate in the environmental consulting industry.
Mm-hmm. So we see this a lot in our environmental science too, is they're coming in with 0 to 1 years of professional experience. And we actually know, we know that it's hard to get an environmental science job, honestly, without a master's, unless you're going to be doing seasonal work. We get that. That is my specialty. So I am an environmental scientist. I have a PhD in geology and geomicrobiology. I've worked at Superfund sites and doing toxic contamination with arsenic and antimony. So if this sounds like something that is of interest to you, I would recommend reaching. Oh, and Michelle is also an environmental science person as well. I would say this might need a further conversation with a one-on-one with either Michelle or myself. I think we can kind of give you some bigger ideas. I want to make sure I have time. I want to go through a couple experience projects. Michelle, can you move forward on that? Okay. I'm going to give you the high level of this. This was an environmental science student wanting to go into sustainability. She did this for within her company, which was Electropure. Her objective, you can see the objectives here. She had 2 what we call STEM objectives. So applying her scientific capacity through an analysis, through an experimental design, you fill in the blank. And then she had a business objective. So what you see here is one of the final deliverables that she created for her company, for this company, Electropure, in which it was a communication piece about one of these devices. Can you go to the next one? And you can kind of see a little bit more of it. Okay, so here's some of the analysis. This specific project was about a technology that was able to reduce the harmonic I think it was called a harmonic disproportion or distortion, harmonic distortion, which increased efficiencies within electric systems from the 70 to 80% up to the upper 90s. And so she was able to quantify this, show the before and after installation for these really big companies that were their clients. She then translated it into a communication piece that was more easily understandable for the everyday person. Like from using this technology, you have saved all of these different types of variables or different ways of thinking about how much CO2 has been saved from greenhouse gas emissions. Go ahead and go forward. She created a dashboard as well that allowed automation of clients to come in and find the equivalencies of what they were doing. We can go forward. And then at the end, like I said, she created a communication piece for each client. So what we see here is she's applying her environmental science knowledge to an analysis, as well as she's creating this kind of business non-STEM objective where she's creating this actual usable application for the clients. All right, let's go forward. Because there's a good, okay, yeah. I'm going to talk about this as a biotech student, and she was her project was around figuring out long-term stabilization of packaging for a new essentially like a pill type. And so she was testing different ways that packaging can occur to ensure like reduced humidity levels within the packaging for life stability. This was for bioMérieux. These are the types of projects that industry and biotech are going to be looking for. Well, one version. They develop assays and different types of testings for, they developed the COVID test originally during the pandemic. But what you can see here is the objectives. She performed comparisons of various packaging, and she measured temperature humidity control by the stability study. She designed and validated packing solutions. She did R software equivalent data analytics, so an efficient way to understand the outcomes or the data. And then she also did a marketing kind of focus group and understanding of the usability of the different types of packaging. Okay, go ahead. So this is just kind of a setup. She did an experimental design using these temperature monitoring devices here. Okay, we're going to go forward. Here's some of her outcomes. She applied her R visualization, understanding and coding to massive amount of data to understand humidity temperature occurrence over time. And go ahead.
That's it.
Oh, and that's it. Okay.
Mhm.
So those are a couple examples. I'm trying to think of a recent like straight data science one. Does anyone have a good one that's coming to mind? I'm trying to remember.
So some of our data science students opt to do a project as part of they'll get there's a graduate certificate in AI and robotics. And some of our data science students do this deep learning AI certificate, and they'll do a capstone class through that certificate program. Instead of finding a project on their own, the capstone class actually sets them up with someone off campus. And so they might be doing sort of facial recognition software that, working on things like how do glasses affect data vision or computer vision, excuse me. One of our students in that class did one that worked on the way drones can fly in formation and kind of be spatially aware of what's around them. And these are all projects that are for off-campus employers. They're working with them. But in that case, when you're doing your project as part of a capstone class, which isn't an option for everybody, you will have a professor in that class who you can bring your questions to along the way. So that's kind of a nice option for people in the data science world.
That's a great example of some of the data science projects. If you're if you're going down that deep learning and AI graduate certificate. I'm just going to try to answer this verbally. Do we need to apply early for the first year biotechnology internship program, or will it be notified to students? You do not need to apply early to the program to be part of that internship program. It is competitive. That we have limited seats in that program. It was an example of some of the things we do have in place. That is really a matching internship program. What I mean by that is we work with BioMaryU to understand what are their current needs, and then we find students with the skill sets to fulfill those needs. This is why when you start here, we really try to understand where is your professional directions going, where do you see yourself after this degree, and what sector, and then we start to make those connections and say, hey, we think you would be a really great candidate for this BioMaryU biotech internship program. So yeah, it's not guaranteed, but and we have limited seats of those every year, but that is an option for sure. Other questions? All right. Well, we're coming to an end. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. We appreciate everyone zooming in. And again, if you have specific questions, make sure to reach out first, your first line of defense or your first line of questioning. Go to Michelle. And if she doesn't have that answer, if she knows like someone else might be able to add more to it, then she will direct it out to either Allie or myself or one of our faculty members that works with our program. So with that, I will bring it to a close. Thank you so much, everyone. And again, reach out. We're excited. New Year's, like the new cohort is just around the corner. Now's the time to prepare. And we're looking forward to communicating with you this year and hopefully reviewing your applications. All right. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.